Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with the inimitable Katie Halper, ladies and gentlemen. She's a comic writer, blogger, satirist, a filmmaker based in New York. This is a great intro we have for you. Her writing and videos have appeared in the New York Times, Comedy Central, The Nation magazine, Gawker, Nerve, Jezebel, Huffington Post, Alternate, and most recently in the Daily News, right?
The Daily News, that's old. I got to update that. Daily News, Vice, Rolling Stone.
Oh, my God.
Paste all the time. And
That's right.
The host of the Katie Halper Show. That's my big thing because you've been on it.
The big thing is I've been on
reasons.
the Katie Halper Show. It's an awesome podcast.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you for being here, Katie. We're going to talk a little bit about my favorite tweet of the last couple of weeks. This is Hillary Clinton. There it is, right? So this is horrible. This is Hillary Clinton still. This is Hillary Clinton still not letting go of the 2016 election that she lost to a political novice / game show host. Okay. And that's what this is. Okay. So this is them trying to not have you examine the system that gave us Hillary and Trump, but be distracted and think that all our problems are caused by another country. And her prescription for this is to say our intelligence professionals are imploring Trump to act. Imploring. Oh, please, Mr. Trump, bomb someone. Please, Mr. Trump, won't you? We are the intelligence community. What have we ever gotten wrong? Except everything. And there she is. And will he continue to ignore and surrender or protect our country? Now, to me, that is attacking Donald Trump from the right. That is telling Donald Trump that he has to be more muscular in his response to a nuclear power instead of practicing détente. That is her trying to literally saber rattle, ratcheting up World War III to cover for her unbelievable failure, because she's an unbelievable failure. Anybody who loses to Donald Trump, a political novice, as the presidency, is an unbelievable failure. That's how repulsive she is to half the country, that she lost to Donald Trump, a political novice. Katie, what do you say about this tweet?
Well, I mean, it's every now and then I have this fantasy that she's actually a subversive, smart person who's a self-parody or parody of kind of neoconish neolibs, because she's also a neocon. She's not just a neoliberal. And by that, I mean that her foreign policy stances are pretty hawkish. But it's so funny because referring to The Russians Are Coming, right, which is this movie from the 60s,
yes,
which is making fun of kind of the Red Scare and hysteria, it's just so out of touch on her part. And again, unless she's actually being someone who's actually like pointing at her own.
No, that's
unless
not...
she's like a plant, right? What if this whole time she's a plant just to expose the hypocrisy and danger of American liberalism? But we don't think she's that.
No, I think that she's actually a Russian puppet. Because let's remember, when you fix a boxing match, you don't pay the winner. You pay the loser. That's how you fix a boxing match. So maybe she didn't go to Wisconsin because someone paid her.
Well,
I don't know.
You know what's funny? I just looked at this. Guess who's in that? I was looking the film up. The Russians Are Coming.
The Russians Are Coming. So there's a movie. Go ahead. There's a movie called The Russians Are Coming, which was a comedy made in the 60s called The Russians Are Coming. And here she is. The Russians are still coming.
It's called The Russians Are Coming. The Russians Are Coming. And usually when people refer to that, I didn't even know it was a movie. I kind of thought it was a movie, but the expression "the Russians are coming" I've only heard in the context of mocking Red Scare hysteria and like Russophobia. So it is a 1966 comedy film directed by Norm Jewison. I can say that because I'm Jewish.
That sounds racist.
It sounds anti-Semitic. It is based on the Nathaniel Benchley novel The Off-Islanders and was adapted for the screen by William Rose. The film depicts the chaos following the grounding of the Soviet submarine Crypt, pronounced Sprute and meaning octopus, off a small New England island during this Cold War. The film stars Carl Reiner, Eva Marie Saint, Alan Arkin in his first major film role, Brian Keith, Theodore Bickle, Jonathan Winters, and Paul Ford. But it's interesting because Carl Reiner is in it. And of course, Carl Reiner's son, Rob Reiner,
is the biggest Russophobic in the world.
He must think this is a documentary, Rob Reiner. He must think his dad starred in a documentary because Rob Reiner is such I mean, this is embarrassing. He founded an organization or foundation that looks into Russia stuff.
That's just ridiculous.
It's so sad. It's like I get all the things that the right wing used to say about liberals being smug and inflated and out of touch. I'm like, God, yeah.
So that's Rob Reiner not having a real problem in the world. So if Rob Reiner had a real problem in the world, meaning he couldn't afford his prescriptions, or he was under a mountain of student debt, or he wasn't know how he was going to pay for his kids' college, or his kids' diabetes, or his parents needed care and the old folks. And if he had any trouble whatsoever, if his job got outsourced, or if he had any trouble whatsoever, he would be talking about something else. He would be talking about an actual problem. Instead, what he's talking about is Donald Trump, which excites the lizard brain in his head, and that's all this is. And then he throws his rational thinking skills out the window. So here is that movie. The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. They say it mockingly, and then here it's a plot to make the world die laughing. That's all right. So what
Carl Reiner was a Bernie bro, by the way.
I know.
Rob was a Hillary.
That's right.
Just saying. Sorry.
And I tweeted out the person who committed the biggest election fraud in U.S. history should maybe shut the fuck up for a while before calling for World War III to cover for being such a shitty politician that she lost to a political novice / game show host. So people are so she's still pushing this narrative that what lost her the election, I couldn't possibly lose. It had to be another country somehow tricked everyone. Here's what really threw the election. There's actual election fraud happening. New York Daily News, Board of Elections will admit it purged more than 200,000 voters from the city rolls. Isn't that amazing? Here is after many Brooklyn residents arrived at the polls during last year's presidential primary to learn they were deemed ineligible to vote. The good government group Common Cause New York filed suit, and State Attorney General Eric Schneiderman and the Brooklyn U.S. Attorney's Office joined into the litigation. That's great. So somebody's going to go to jail. That's awesome. So we're going to find out who did this, why they did it. We're going to have an open court. We're going to get to question them in open court. It's going to be awesome. We're going to find out who is really behind this and who's really trying to undermine our elections, right? Because this is definite. Schneiderman said that the city's Board of Elections illegally purged over 200,000 New Yorkers from the rolls, violating the law and New Yorkers' trust in the institutions meant to protect their rights. Oh, man, heads are going to roll. I love this. Schneiderman's on it. That's actual fraud. 200,000 people illegally kicked off. That's a big deal. This isn't Twitter bots or troll or Facebook memes. This isn't a pretend someone hacked your email. This is real. That actually happened. Everyone's admitting that happened. 200,000 people. That's voter fraud, right? That's election fraud. That's what that is. But rather than slug it out in a Brooklyn federal court, wait a minute, the sides have been working it out. A settlement? What? A settlement? No, this is supposed to be a criminal investigation. You just said they broke the law. They undermined the integrity of our election on purpose, and I want a hearing in open court to find out why the fuck they did that and who did it. Sorry, not going to get it. Eric Schneiderman's going to do it all in secret.
He's a big Hillary person.
Yeah,
Schneiderman.
They're going to do it all in secret. Your government is still working against you. Your government is still fucking you over, but Hillary Clinton wants you to get mad at another country. And here it is right in your face, collusion at the tippy top of government to fuck you over. It's not the Russians. It's not the Saudis. It's not Israel. This is good old Americans right here in America. That's a Democrat. Eric Schneiderman decides, we're going to work it out. A settlement? No, you're supposed to go to goddamn jail, Eric Schneiderman, you fucking phony. New York City's Board of Elections will acknowledge it broke the law and be making serious changes in its practices, according to the proposed settlement of a legal fight over the purge of more than 200,000.
When is this from?
Now a proposed pact slated for, this is from yesterday's paper.
Oh, wow.
Now a proposed pact slated for filing Wednesday would mandate reforms in the city's election agency. The terms include, this is what they've negotiated. You ready for this? The terms include the Board of Elections acknowledging it broke state and federal law with the purge. Why did they do that? I don't want them to acknowledge it. I want you to prosecute them for it. Eric Schneiderman, I don't want you to... We all know they did it. I want you to prosecute them for it. You phony.
I want apologies from all the people who said that people, even questioning what happened here, were conspiracy theorists and loons and tinfoil hat people. Because that was one of the most, like, there was so much gaslighting during the primary.
Yes.
And so much making people, shaming people or attempted shaming people. And God, I'm having a flashback to how much that happened. And all these people who pretended, again, to be male allies or feminists or anti-racist, and all they would talk, especially these straight white men. Sorry, Jimmy, but I'm making a larger point that's going to help you and your demographic. All these straight white men who were claiming to be, support Hillary for the right reasons and criticized Sanders for the right reasons because he was a sexist, racist, and she was a woke, Beyonce fan. They would talk to me and other women and people of color in such condescending ways and such gaslighting ways. Like, oh, Katie, I remember you used to be so sad to watch what's happened to you. You've become so unhinged, or you've become so small.
So sad. I saw Joan Walsh say that to you.
Yeah. What did she say? I think you're terrific. Yeah. She was like, I'm
hope
rooting for you to
with...
come through whatever this thing is. I think you're terrific.
Yeah.
But no, it's true. And it's just in terms of what you're demanding, you're saying, I don't want this, I want them to be prosecuted. I think another thing we should demand is all these people who said that people questioning what happened are conspiracy theorists owe us an apology. Owe everyone an apology.
Not
going to hold my breath.
Not going to hold my breath for
nice,
that one. Yeah. The terms include the Board of Election acknowledging it broke the state and federal law. But again, it's a good thing while they were purging illegally 200,000 people in violation of state and federal law off the voting rolls, a good thing they weren't selling Lucy's also in front of their campaign polling place.
Because then they would have been killed.
Because then they could have got choked out in broad daylight and nobody would give a shit.
Right.
But you just do that without selling, so then it's okay. Eric Schneiderman's here to save you. We're not gonna battle it out in court. What? Battle it out? That's what you're supposed to do, is prosecute people. You jagoff. And scrutinizing every voter registration removed since July 2013. That's that's what they're going to do. They're going to scrutinize every voter registration removed. Oh, isn't that fantastic? A little late. Another term is the board devising a plan in 90 days for the maintenance of voter rolls. Okay. Would overhaul New York City's Board of Elections practices for maintaining voter rolls, ensuring that the issues that led to the purges are addressed. What are those issues? Again, we're not out in court, so we don't know what happened. Nobody gets to cross-examine anybody. And establishing frequent monitoring and oversight. Okay. So if you don't prosecute this, what that does is guarantee it will happen again. That's what this means. If you don't prosecute torture, it means it's going to happen again. It's happening right now. So that's why part of why you prosecute crimes isn't only to punish the person who did it, but it's a deterrent so it doesn't happen again.
Teachable moment.
Yes, a teachable moment. So let's finish this. He says, my office, this is Eric Schneiderman, my office will continue to protect all voters' access to the polls and continue to fight and expand voting rights. And if someone violates those rights again, I'm not going to prosecute them. Because they're doing it at the behest of the establishment, which is what I'm trying to prop up. That's Eric Schneiderman. Phony. And he's working against you. He looks like he's trying to do the right thing. He's not. He's not doing the right thing. He's doing the opposite. This is a smokescreen. Am I being hyperbolic, Katie?
No, I'm actually, and I'm surprised, but not surprised that I haven't heard about this.
Oh, you haven't heard about this? No. Oh, good. I'm glad I could.
No, I'm serious. Yeah, and so I'm looking it up. I mean, I've been a little out of the news, but it should be a bigger deal. But that's always what happens. It's like it's not as big of a deal because it's conflicting.
Right. This isn't going to get the press. This isn't going to get the press that the Hillary's Russia are coming tweets going to get. And here, so this is what the establishment doesn't want you to be talking about. And when they do talk about it, they want you to think like we took care of it. Look how we fixed it. Eric Schneiderman got on it, made sure no one got in trouble for it.
Yeah, it's barely coming up. I'm trying to find it now.
Did anybody even lose their job over this? So this is actually from October of 2017. I'm showing you this to show you what the real problem, there's real voter suppression happening in America. There's real election tampering happening in America, and it's not the goddamn Russians.
Right.
You know, I don't know if you was Greg Palast, cross-check. Do you know 100,000 people in Michigan didn't fill in their ballot for president? Did you know that? They voted for other stuff, but not president. Did you know that? Did you know that?
I just heard about this recently.
100,000 people left it blank. And again, they don't talk about that.
Right.
But it was those 13 Twitter trolls. It wasn't the 200,000 people. And where else did this happen? Where else did stuff like this happen that we don't know about?
Right. Arizona, there was stuff in Arizona.
Right? Look what they did in Arizona. Look at the blatant cheating they were doing there.
It's so embarrassing because even if, let's just say for argument's sake, that all of the things that they're saying the Russians did was true. What's the takeaway? What do we do about that compared to what we do about the role of Hillary Clinton's campaign, the role of the DNC, right? What do people want? Okay, let's just say the Russians played a big role in it. Now what? We want Donald Trump to go take us to war with Russia against Putin?
That's right.
I mean, and so clearly if the Dems were at all smart and they wanted to use Russia to detract and deflect from their own role, they'd be smarter about it. They would pretend to care at all about what they had done, pretend to be looking at what they had done, and then include what happened with Russia in kind of the many things that they need to look at and assess in order to win future elections. But their failure to look at anything that they did makes it so transparent that they're using Russia to deflect.
Yeah, well, Katie, why look back at what happened and how we got Trump? I mean, you know the old saying, if you don't learn from history, you're bound to win in 2020.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that how it goes?
Those who don't learn from history are condemned to do really well in the midterms.
Yes. So this I want to show you. So that's the real problem. But here's what they want. Here's Jennifer Palmieri.
Oh, my God.
This is Hillary Clinton's communication director. She literally just tweeted this out a few days ago. It's the 26th of February.
She did delete it.
She says, you guys, I just got into an unmarked gypsy cab in San Francisco airport with a Russian driver. If I disappear, it's a tan Lincoln Continental. Now, just insert Jew.
Yeah, a total, yeah.
Insert Mexican.
Chinese,
insert
whatever.
Insert anything else except Russian. So this is what they want you to do. They want you to again, be distracted. Oh, now, by the way, now it's okay to be completely xenophobic about Russians. Right. And that's the communication. Do you see how out of touch these people are?
What do the people who aren't the comms people say? They just call them some major slur, right? If this is like the cleaned up version, did she send this to herself to go over it for the comms?
So the lower people in the campaign tweeted out, just got into an unmarked gypsy cab at San Francisco airport with some dirty Ruskies.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it. So then she goes, oh, my God, I made it. I judged unfairly. Could you imagine saying that? Hey, I'm getting into a cab with a Muslim guy. Wonder if he's going to chop my head off if he's Asian. He's got a turban on. Could be bad. And just imagine that. But Trump is the racist. Right? Trump is the guy who's out of bounds of polite society. But Jennifer Palmieri, she's not out of bounds of polite society. She's not a maniac. Now you know why Hillary Clinton lost?
Yeah.
Now do you know why she had to cheat to beat a no-name senator who was frickin' 76 years old? Now do you know why she had to cheat to win that? Well, because these are the brainiacs inside of her campaign. They're the biggest losers in the history of the world, and the only thing they can do after they lose to a novice is do xenophobia.
And dig their heels in more and claim that they were right. And either they were wrong then, which we know they were, or they're wrong. Like if they don't acknowledge that they were wrong then and they're not, then why should we trust them now?
Right. Exactly.
They haven't redeemed themselves. Or the thing that's interesting about Palmieri is that she said shortly after the inauguration of Trump, she was on Meet the Press, and Chuck Todd asked her about, is that his name, Chuck Todd?
Yes.
Right. Okay. He asked her about, why do you think there weren't all these protests and anti-Trump protests during the election? Where was this energy during the general election? And she was like, I don't think it's very healthy to talk about that.
Really?
Yeah. She was really, really triggered by that. And then she said, but it would be the wrong takeaway to look at these protests and rallies and think that this is about Fight for 15. This is about not shopping at Nordstrom's and
Yes.
being in solidarity with immigrants. And it's identity politics, but for our side now. And it made no sense. I mean, it kind of made sense, but it didn't. She couldn't even syntactically express it. It was a very weird, jumbled sentence. But the fact that she would actually explicitly say what we on the left say about these people, which is that they pretend to care about all issues, but actually in real life, they refuse to look at class, right? Like, she totally made that explicit. She was like, don't think this has anything to do with the minimum wage. It doesn't. I want you to be clear on that.
Yes.
And it's basically because they don't like looking at class stuff. And also they didn't want any Bernie victory to come from this.
Correct.
Right? But they really like the idea that like the resistance is solidarity. The resistance for her is like being nice to a Mexican. That's really what it is.
Yes.
And it's like not shopping at Nordstrom's. Yeah, like working people can relate to that, Like we're not shopping at Barney's, guys. We're going to refrain from Barney's.
Well, here's what my good friend Russ Lewis said. He says, the guy who came by selling insurance was Jewish. If all my money gets siphoned out, remember this tweet. Yuck, 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 yuck. Racism's
That's really funny,
yeah. Then James Zogby tweeted at her.
Oh, I love this guy.
And he said, this is not funny. It's deeply offensive and hurtful, especially coming from a Democrat. I represent a community of immigrants. Many have accents and foreign names. They deal with suspicion and insults daily. A tip, respect drivers. If you speak with them, you'll see they have amazing experiences. And then she says, thanks, I will delete it. You needed someone to fucking tell you to delete that?
I'm glad she didn't call him some insult when I'm glad she didn't say, thanks, you blank.
Yeah, hey,
I will delete it.
Yeah, I think, hey.
Arab.
Yeah, thanks, Arab. Exactly.
He's
hey,
a
thanks,
Christian,
Towelhead. I appreciate
Lebanese, yeah.
it. Hey, if this Towelhead, it's unbelievable.
And Zogby, by the way, who's Lebanese American and is the founder of the Arab American Institute and a major poller. I mean, he and his brothers are polling experts, but he deals with it from both sides. Then he gets told by people that, he's a straight white man whose white privilege is blinding him from supporting Hillary Clinton. And that's why he supports Bernie Sanders. It's like, no, not so much. Try walking around looking like him and with that last name. Someone did this to my friend Shuja Hater, who had actually a really interesting thread about how, like, of course, it's spun as courting bigots and courting racists, but he was basically saying, like, there are disaffected people we need to reach out to, because if we don't, they will be seduced by bigotry, and it's worth fighting for certain people. And this blonde woman was like, really, privileged boy? Really? His name is Shuja Hater. He's Pakistani American. And she was like, really? I don't see ice on your doorstep. He's like, okay, yeah, not now, but they could be. Like,
yeah. Well, so there you go. This is what the Hillary Clinton campaign thinks is funny. This is what they think is the real problem in America. This is what they think.
It's so funny, though. She's the comms person. She's not like a numbers cruncher or like an engineer who worked for the campaign or a data
analyst. She's the communications person. Yeah, she's not a nerd. She's supposed to be the people who know how to communicate without offending people. She's not supposed to be able to get now you know why Hillary Clinton lost.
But Jimmy, you should have seen the earlier version. It's much better than the first thing she tweeted. I'm telling you.
Oh, what was the first?
I'm just kidding.
Oh.
I'm sure she she did a lot of massaging of the pros. Well, Sally Albright worked for Hillary Clinton and comms in 2008.
Yeah.
Less we need to know.
Albright.
Yeah, I know. We shouldn't even.
So I hope you enjoyed this segment. I hope I made my point. This is complete distraction, complete diversion from unbelievable failure. And please make sure they just did it again. They demonetized a bunch of our videos. Literally, there was a school shooting. A teacher did a school shooting yesterday. We reported it. They demonetized our video.
What?
Yeah, there was a teacher in a school with a gun, freaked out, barricaded himself in a room. The gun went off when the principal used the key to get in the room. He shot the gun. So we reported it. They demonetized it. And I asked for a manual review. They said no. So my point is, please make sure if you enjoy shows like this and you think they're worthwhile, make sure you help support it. But first, make sure you're subscribed, because they unsubscribe people. That's the way YouTube and Google gets rid of independent news. They unsubscribe people from our channels all the time. So you have to stay on it. Make sure you're still subscribed, and then click that bell so you get a notice when we drop a video. I know it sounds like a pain in the ass, but it's real and it's true, and we really appreciate it if you do it. We'll see you March 26th in Austin, Texas. We just added a second show. We sold out our first show. Second show, March 26th. That's a Monday night in Austin, Texas. March 30th, right here in Burbank, California. Thanks for your support.